This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good afternoon, my name is Amrita Koshal and it is now time for your main newscast. We will return with a rebroadcast of the Gun Law Show after the news. Just over a week ago, Guyana observed its second anniversary as an oil-producing state. For the most part, particularly from the stage of discovery in 2015 to first oil in December 2019, the David Granger administration held the reins of office, and there were great expectations about what it should or could have put in place to ensure the effective governance of the sector. Carl Greenidge, who served as Foreign Affairs Minister and Foreign Secretary under the Granger government, recently acknowledged that indeed more should have been done. He said one of the key mechanisms Guyana ought to have had in place was an oil and gas master plan. Greenidge, who now serves as advisor on borders, said the consequence that grips Guyana in the absence of this plan is infrastructural chaos, which ultimately hinders the control the state should have had to begin with. As such, he predicts with the money now flowing, matters will only get worse. Newly elected leader of the PNCR, Aubrey Norton, recently voiced that Vice President Barrett Jagdeo and the PPPC are creating the conditions for the PPP kleptocracy to steal the nation's money that comes from the sale of oil. Norton shared this in response to a scathing attack on not only himself but a number of civil society non-governmental organizations. The PPPC has placed on the order paper a bill, the Natural Resource Fund Bill 2021, with its debate and likely approval scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday, December 29th. According to Jagdeo, the law in place is invalid because it was passed without the then PPPC opposition's input in the National Assembly, and further it was done during a period when a no-confidence motion was already passed. Norton said that Jagdeo intends to shift focus away from his desire to remove Article 22 from the Natural Resource Fund Act so that he and the PPPC can create the conditions for the PPP kleptocracy to steal the nation's oil wealth. We now tell you that a number of civil society organizations last evening, in a joint statement, have called on the PPPC administration to refer to a select committee of the National Assembly to which members of the public are permitted to make recommendations for its proposed Natural Resource Fund bill. The group said, "We consider it entirely unreasonable, even in the best of circumstances, for the people of Guyana and their parliamentary representatives to have just 8 working days to consider the text and implications of undoubtedly the most significant piece of legislation of the PPPC administration." The signatories to the joint statement include the Trade Union Congress, Transparency Institute of Guyana, Inc., and Article 13, the civil society group formed to promote inclusionary and participatory governance, to call on President Irfan Ali and the government of Guyana to delay a parliamentary vote on the Natural Resource Fund bill scheduled for this Wednesday, December 29th. Moving on, we now tell you that moments before families were about to celebrate Christmas, the relatives of 28-year-old Dion Charles and 36-year-old Garfield Newton were thrown into a state of mourning after they were killed separately an hour apart in the Alboystone community, Georgetown. We understand that Newton, a bodyguard attached to Bihari Group of Companies, was shot dead during the course of a robbery just about 22 hours Christmas Eve night at Campbell Street, while Charles of Middle Road the Penitence was killed execution-style about 23:50 hours at James Street. According to police, Moments before Newton was killed, he visited a goldsmith in the Campbell Street area where he collected a silver handband, a gold chain, and 2 gold rings, which he had taken to clean earlier. 2 suspects were apprehended and are in police custody. Meanwhile, Charles was seen standing on the southern side of the street when 2 men exited a white Axio motorcar and reportedly shot him, escaping immediately after. Police noted that efforts made to locate the suspects have so far proven futile. Nevertheless, investigations into the men's killings are ongoing. Moving on, there were 2 fires that destroyed the homes of 2 families, one in West Ramveld, Georgetown, and the other in Friendship on the east coast of Demerara. The purported cause of the fire at West Ramveld was a lit mosquito coil, which was left unattended. The coil ignited with the window curtain and spread further to the entire building. The 1 flat wooden and concrete structure and its contents were completely destroyed, leaving Joel Anderson and her family homeless. Meanwhile, the 2-story wooden and concrete structure at Friendship was caught on fire by an overloaded electrical circuit. This resulted in feedback to the distribution panel, which sparked and ignited nearby combustible materials. The Guyana Fire Service is urging citizens to be extra careful during the holiday season and to take the necessary precautions to avoid these tragedies. Time check for you, 12 hours 8. We will return with more news for you shortly after the break.
Nothing in life is free, but the MyDigiCell app is. You don't need to be on a data plan to use the app. You can conveniently chat with Ruby or an agent for help, check your account balance, activate a Prime bundle, or gift it to a friend, send credit, check the Georgetown and Burpees Bridge schedules, activate a roaming plan, play Shake to Win for cool prizes. So don't worry about a data plan, buddy. Download the MyDigiCell app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store today. Digicel, better together.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
We now return with your main newscast. Publisher of the Kaieteur News and advocate for a better oil deal, Glenn Lal, has called for a massive protest on Wednesday to force the government to dump its natural resources bill, which gives the president enormous powers to appoint members to the various committees and is also short on penalties for the abuse of the resources. The Irfan Ali administration tabled the Natural Resources Amendment Bill on December 16th and is expected to use its 1-seat majority in the House to take it through Parliament on Wednesday. The main opposition said, due to the complex nature of the bill and its importance to the management of the country's oil resources, members of Parliament need more time to study it. As such, they have called for the bill to be sent to a special select committee for fine-tuning and possible changes before it is debated in the House. In other news, we now tell you that in light of complaints that oil companies have a long payment period that can last at minimum 90 days, the PPPC government's Local Content Bill 2021 has sought to put in place a mechanism that would pave the way for Guyanese to have a more competitive advantage. The bill states that all companies must provide Guyanese nationals or companies with timely and appropriate access to contracts and payment terms that facilitate competitive financing. Even as the well-intentioned provision demands better terms, its failure to specifically state that all companies must pay local companies within a period that is shorter than 90 days can still be left open to interpretation and abuse. In other stories, we now tell you that an overseas-based Guyanese pensioner aged 55 is currently in police custody after allegations surfaced that he reportedly had sexual relations with, raped a 13-year-old girl whom he shared a relationship with. According to reports, after the young girl's father lodged a report at the Covent-Garden police station yesterday, a squad of law enforcement officers were subsequently dispatched to the child's mother's home. According to the police, the man was arrested on Boxing Day at 12:30 hours at the teen's residence and placed into custody. However, he is yet to be charged at the Covent-Garden police station, and an investigation has been launched. Vice President Bharat Jagdeo has denounced the observations made by fishermen across the country that the recent oil and gas operations have negatively impacted their catch. The Vice President explained that he grew up in the fishing community of Unity Micah, East Coast Demerara, where since he was a young boy, the catch would be low in certain seasons. Jagdeo implied that it would be irresponsible to attribute the decline in fish catch across the country to ExxonMobil's operations. On a lighter note, we now tell you that more than 30 bouncing babies were delivered this year on Christmas Day amidst the global COVID-19 pandemic. The country's first set of Christmas babies, a boy and a girl, were born at the Georgetown Public Hospital at exactly 12:15 a.m. This year, the GPHC saw a total of 10 babies being born, 5 girls and 5 boys. In Region 3, the West Demerara Regional Hospital welcomed a total of 7 babies, 4 boys and 3 girls. Over in Region 6, at the New Amsterdam Hospital, its maternity ward welcomed a total of 5 bundles of joy, 3 boys and 2 girls. It is now time for your COVID-19 update. The country has recorded 31,119 cases of COVID-19 as the death toll has risen to 1,050. 32 persons are in institutional isolation, 682 in home isolation, 2 in institutional quarantine, and 6 in the ICU. We now turn your attention to page 7 of the Kaieteur News, dedicated to being blunt. When the primary aim of leaders is to rob a nation blind, it is time that they are exposed and be made to face lawful consequences. Except we as Guyanese make it clear that enough is enough and demand changes in this land, we will continue to hemorrhage money by the billions of American dollars. Guyanese, stop sitting in silence while our future is reduced to one of barely enough, if any at all. What we are faced with in this land is certainly not a joke. We literally have to fight for our lives. We must demand better for all of Guyana, not just a few. My name is Amrita Koshal, and thank you for listening to your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on